What's going on, Jedi? Vita, let's get into this thing. Welcome to Money Mondays. Money Mondays, how we doing? Let some folks get in here. Do what we got to do. Shout out to the CIA. One love, FBI. What's going on, people? All right. We got an hour. We're talking stocks today. Yeah, we're taking stock for sure. We're talking and taking stocks. We're talking stock and taking stock. Let's get into the nuts and bolts of this. How many people know? I mean, here's the thing. If you know what IPO is, if you know what an IPO is, type it in the chat room. And I don't know if you guys decide to go out and try to cheat. Type out, what does IPO mean? What does IPO mean? Be right back. IPO. IPO. What does IPO mean? So, somebody said going public, first public sales of a company. IPO. We got 61 people watching. And let's see how many men we have in here. Lauren, what's going on? William, what's up? Tremaine, Nakiva, Jamal. What is IPO? What does IPO mean? Does IPO stand for? You know, the sad thing is, guys, how many people do you think who run these YouTube streets know what IPO stand for? We got to be real. How many people do you think that are running around on panels, you know, dropping knowledge, so-and-so, giving advice, you know, talking about what should or should not be done, you know, basically out here talking about anything, supposedly any kind of consequence or seriousness? Who knows? And honestly, when I was thinking about this topic, 20% at best, and that's sad. That's sad because we're sitting here talking like, you got to ask yourself, what the hell are we talking about? If only about 20% of people really know. You know what? I'm going to try something real quick. About only 20% of people know. Why? Why? Let me see if I can change this camera. I'm working on a new camera, guys. Y'all like that camera angle better? Y'all like that camera better? Yeah, that's that 4K situation I'm putting together for you. So the Godfather is going to be coming to you, increasing technology, increasing the way we do things. I'm right now, after I do this presentation, I'm going to look at some more studio space and office space. We're taking it to the next level. I've already reached out in Atlanta to find, I put it out on Facebook looking for photographers and videographers in Atlanta. Also looking for video editors, people in front of the camera, behind the camera, actors and actresses, taking it to the next level. That's what it comes down to. This time next year, I expect to be in my office space. I expect to have a home office, and I'm actually going to have an actual office in the field. More on that later. But that's important because we're talking about professionalism and grown-up stuff. And the sad thing is, somebody said maybe 20% at best, but you listen to people talk, and everybody that I'm familiar with around these YouTube streets is 25 and above. So we have to start asking ourselves some questions. Gentlemen, when are you going to grow up? When are so many of you guys going to grow up and become men? Meaning step into manhoods and do man stuff. Because honestly, what's the conversation most of the time? Women, sex, game. But if you take away that, if you take away the game, women, dating, sex, what is left for content in this sector? For men, really, it's pretty sad. There's a term called, and you know, like I figured today the turnout will be kind of low because I'm not talking about anything crazy. But you know what? If I change the title, it would be Peter Pan syndrome is the inability to grow up or engage in behavior associated with adulthood. I want you guys to watch something. We got 102 people watching right now. Watch what happens when I change the topic. How to get hot women. Men are terrible. I'm going to just change the title. How to get hot women. By any means necessary. I'm going to just change that. I'm going to change it to how to get hot women by any means necessary. By any means necessary. Now, why? And then I'm going to put, are all men terrible? Are all men bad? How about that? Are all men bad? We'll change the topic. How to get hot women by any means necessary. Are all men bad? I want you guys to watch the numbers shoot up. Now, they're doing some outside, and I can't really do anything about that. But I want you to pay attention that when you're talking about something about that you should be talking about, stuff that grown men talk about, stuff that the world takes seriously, stuff that would make you somebody that does not look like you out there in the world, that's over 25 and other men, they don't take you seriously if you ain't growing up. Look at the numbers starting to jump. So when I say, let's talk about Money Mondays of business, even last night when I talk about leading with your wallet, you know how many people jumped in on that video and didn't even listen to it and start talking about, you know, all kind of craziness? The point I'm saying is, it is time for a lot of guys to grow up. And that's why I want to talk about this Peter Pan syndrome and get into this IPO stuff. The inability to grow up or engage in behavior usually associated with adults. How many guys do we see running around like that today? 30 plus years old, still talking and acting like they're high schoolers. I mean, it's so many guys today, 30 plus years old, and it's like Animal House, Beavis and Butthead. It ain't nothing about, man, these bras, these hoes. I mean, locker room, you know. And here's the thing: there's always going to be that in life. I don't care what level you get to, but it's all about moderation. It should not be 8 hours of the day, 4 hours of the day, 5-10 minutes tops. But why does that dominate so many guys' conversation? Because that's all they got to talk about. Because they're not doing anything. They're not doing anything, and that's when it really comes right down to what the topic really is. Chasing is time to grow up. And you grow up by chasing IPOs. Damn, over 30 people in 5 minutes. I told you, P-Capes. All you gotta do is how to get hot women by any means necessary. Are all men bad? You know, that because people are like, ooh, let me stop what I'm doing. Apparently you're supposed to be in the work day. And I'm talking about image, science, image, business, professionalism, all the stuff that should help you right now. But that ain't enough to get your attention. But if I start talking about how to get the hottest woman necessary by any means necessary, then all of a sudden we're gonna flood in here. Mm-hmm. And here's a reason you can't get the hottest women. Here's the reason you can't get hot women. Because you're a little boy. Little boys don't get hot women. They don't. Who gets hot women? Henry. Blake Henry gets hot women. Other guys respect Blake Henry. And you know why? Chasing IPOs. I asked the question, what is IPO? And I had about 20 people say initial public offering. That's good. The sad thing is there was over 100 people in the chat room. There's over 100 people in the chat room and only 20 people responded. So I'm just going to assume that only 20% of y'all knew what IPO meant and the other 80% are clueless. Shame on you. Look at it, 142 people. Look at it, it jumped by 50% just like that. It jumped by 50%. Shame on you that you don't know what IPO is. IPO stands for initial public option, initial public offering. That's your homework. Go understand what IPO means. But you know, your godfather always takes something you think you know and changes it up to something you need to know. See, the reason a lot of people don't worry about stock market, financial news and all that other kind of stuff is because you don't have enough money and you're just trying to survive. But guess what? If that's the case, you're on the wrong channel. I'm thinking I'm talking to the top 20% of men over here. Top 20 who want to be top 10. You want to be masters of the universe. You better chase IPO. Chasing IPO over here is not initial public offering. What's chasing IPO? The first thing you want to chase is influence. Influence. How many people on Black YouTube are accredited investors? That's not even the case. That's not the point. Don't matter if you're an accredited investor or not, you should know. How many people, I'm not talking about Black YouTube. I'm just talking about, well, as a man, when are you going to grow up? When are you going to put down the sports page first and start reading the financial news? When are you going to put down the comics and that kind of stuff and start reading and start finding out what's going on in political sectors? When are you going to start moving like an adult? See, a big part of guys today don't feel like you don't get a lot of respect. And if you got to walk around telling people you're a man, that's a problem. If you got to walk around telling people you're an alpha male, that's a problem. The way you carry yourself and the way your whole image should say man. And yes, a big part of that is your appearance. That's why I keep on banging on them stupid ass Jordans. I don't know any group of men who fight for their right to wear Jordans over age 25. Let me go ahead and get up out of here. Get this dude up out of here. If somebody come in here saying anything silly, don't respond to him, just get him out. Just get him out, because here's the thing. I'm talking to grown-ups. Men don't worry about shaming language. It's a shame that you got to tell grown men that nobody respects you running around wearing high top sneakers. So it's a damn shame. You got to tell grown men that put on a suit or put on a jacket, a button up, some slacks, some trousers. It's a damn shame. You got to tell, but that's that Peter Pan stuff. But see, the one thing you cannot do as Peter Pan is you can't chase IPO. And the first part is influence. Influence with those that matter. Now you can influence people who don't matter or who can't do anything. You can influence people. Would it really matter if you're influencing a bunch of third graders? You can have all the influence in the world. But who are you influencing? A man needs to strive to have influence in places that matter. And when I say places that matter, I'm talking about in the business world. Because athletics and entertainment, that's an entirely different sector. Business, politics, education. You should strive to have influence in business, politics, and education, but it's easier to talk about the business world. Because you may have a man can have influence in education, but that's a different conversation. Let's keep it to business. Influence. How influential are you in your sector, in your industry? Are you known? Do people know you? Does your name ring out? Are you ranked? Whatever you choose to do as a profession, are you an SME, a subject matter expert? Are you a subject matter expert in your industry? Then you got work to do. You should strive to be the man or known in your industry, whatever your industry is. Start out, that should be a goal, to be known in your industry. And in order to be known in your industry, you got to be at least known in your company. Are you known in your company outside of your department? Who knows you? I said this last night. Influence. The business world and place of employment are two different things. If you got a question that you want me to answer, I'm gonna change the title back so you can see what Chase IPO. Time to grow up. Time for boys to become men. Peter Pan. Peter Pan needs to grow up. Peter Pan needs to grow up now. So, real talk, if you didn't know what IPO means, if you didn't know what it meant, that's something to go study, okay? Now, if you got a question that you want me to answer out while I'm presenting, you need to put it in super chat. Here's the thing. I had a guy come in and talk about you shaming folks and so forth. You can't shame men when you talk about man stuff. And I'm going to treat you like men, and I expect you to approach it like a man. You got a question you want read, or a comment you want read, or a question you want answered? Put it in super chat. There you go. Get it up, get it up, get it up. Influence. You need to understand what influence means in your industry, and what, and if you have it, what influence means in your industry, because every industry, every profession, influence means something different. What does it mean, and do you have it? If not, you got work to do. Because a guy who's not known, a guy who's just a cog, no one cares. You come and go, you're irrelevant. You're just a number, you're just a line on a budget sheet. And that's sad, because that means you're not trying to compete. See, when it's time to step up and grow up into that thing and become the man you need to be, you want to compete. You want to be the best. You want the pressure. Boys don't, men do. Next, influence. What's the next? What's the P? I know most people are going to think the P stands for purpose, but it does not. In IPO, P stands for power. You can have purpose. Your purpose may be to make the best biscuits in the world. Your purpose may be to, I don't know, pick something. Your purpose may be to make or sell the best widgets on the planet. Great. But how do you turn that into power? See, if you get influence, you start knocking on the doors of power. But to get anything done in this world, especially in the capitalist country, you need power. And power comes a lot by leading with your wallet. If you didn't watch the broadcast last night, go back and check it. Money is a tool to acquire power. Influence is a tool to acquire power. The acquisition of power needs to be front and center on a man who wants to be in the top 20%, a leader, a master of the universe. It's about power. Power is taken. It's never given. You're going to have to go to war to get it. That's why I say start with influence, because you cannot acquire power by yourself. Power, influence is in your ability to convince others to act on your behalf. That's why I said this lone wolf stuff, this Sigma male, I don't need nobody, chaotic is synonymous with chaos and losing. Influence, power. If you think if you're an influential guy, if you're an influential man in your industry, put a 1 in the chat room. Means that an influential man in your industry, meaning your competitors know about you. I mean, other companies know about you. You're known. Are you known? Do you have influence? You're known inside you're known inside your organization, outside of your department. Your word or suggestion gets things done. Are you influential? Kenny Burgess says yes. Rome says yes. J Full Film says yes. Spice Rack says yes. That's what we're talking about. Okay, let's go to YouTube. Let's look in the the quote unquote manosphere, the black manosphere. You guys, there are, for everybody that has a YouTube channel, there are 2 or 3 guys who have far more influence in the sector, outside of the sector. We understand what influence means on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook. The internet just mirrors the real world. Influence is just a tool. I am a tech in the cannabis industry trying to influence people of diverse backgrounds to join but facing difficulties. Something like that, man, is going to take, I will need more information. Here's the advice line. Here's the thing. Actually, the advice line for business and career advice will be something you need to, because you need a plan. If you're trying to recruit people, is what you're trying to do. So basically you're a tech in the cannabis industry. You're trying to recruit people. And if it's anything like multi-level marketing or anything like that, you're trying to sell. See, that's the biggest thing. Being a salesperson, most people don't like salespeople until you need them. But business works on sales. WeWork 100. WeWork. Oh yeah, I'm gonna check out WeWork, Andre. I got a spot. I'm going to check out after I leave here. I'm going to the number 18, WeWork 101 on Marta Street. See, I heard that there's a lot of good space in Marta. So while I'm in Buckhead now, I may end up out in Marta if it makes more sense as far as logistics. All right. For the people that don't understand, I'm talking about I'm looking for office space. I'm going to start out with a virtual office first, in conjunction with my home office that I'm going to be working out of. I'm in transition right now, and you guys are going to get to see it. As I move through these spaces, I'm going to show you what I'm doing, because you got to build it while you find it, man. You can't just wait till it's all done. No one just steps out into a palatial, ready-made life or studio without taking baby steps. Back to the program. Influence. Do you have it? Power. Are you actively seeking it, trying to acquire it? And who out there can actively say there are House of Matriarch? What's going on? Is that you? Is that Chrissy? Hey, what's going on? How many of you guys can actively say you're actively, hold on. How many people can actively say you're out seeking power? Station break. Seeking power. Power is something that, as a guy, should be on your mind. Guys, if you haven't heard about the House of Matriarch, I'm going to take a little station break, because I'm going to tell you this one right here. Blackfin #1. Oh, this stuff should be outlawed. It's so sexy. There are like 11 million ingredients in here. But let's say if I have to, when I'm going out and have to feel like the man, this is one of my secret weapons, especially in a leather jacket. That one, I got the old school sex magic. You guys know I got a thing for wood and oud fragrances, the old school sex magic. I even got a bracelet dipped in that. I've done a review on this one, Kazemi Blue Rose. I love roses, and this is one of the most unique. So I'm gonna get off topic here if I start smelling this stuff. But one of my favorites is Orca, amber and ambergris. Perfect time of the year for Orca. So shout out to House of Matriarch. Check out the House of Matriarch. Go over there, drop something, pick up. If I was going to pick up one fragrance, I would say Coco Blanc is really popular, especially this time of year. But I love Orca and Blackfin #1. Anyway, back to the program. Influence, power, actively seeking and acquiring power. And the acquisition of power takes networking. People are a resource. You need people working with you. You don't acquire power alone. You need relationships. You need relationships, you need protection, power. You got to actively get out there and work with people. And this is where people need to work on their people skills. That's why you need to chase that influence. You need to chase that power. And then you need to chase what's the O? What do you guys think the O is going to be? What do you think the O is going to be? We got influence. When I said P, I just knew people I thought people were going to say, people probably thought the P was going to be purpose. But what do you think the O is going to be? If you need to chase influence, power, what's the O? Intellect says opportunity. Willie Thomas says options. I finally purchased DHI. D says opportunity. 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 I'm going to tell you, Willie Thomas got it right. Options. See, opportunity is an option. Ownership is an option. You need options. See, the ability to make a decision and to make something that you choose is, people want freedom. Freedom. Freedom is a natural state of man, right? If you want to get philosophical, freedom. What does having a lot of money give you? Options. You want to see who a person is? Give them a lot of money and the real person will come out. You want to see who a person is? Give them power, because power gives you options. You need options. If you are working a 9 to 5 and you are living paycheck to paycheck, just barely scraping by, do you have any options? Financially, do you have any financial options? If that job you're working traditionally does not even give you a cost of living raise of 3%, that means every year you're losing money. Do you have options? See, options are sexy. Women love men with options. Guys like to deal with guys who have options. Shan says, you got a few. No, you really have no real financial leeway if you're just getting by. That's the thing. Lack of options makes people anxious, fearful, scared, timid. You are not your best self when you have no options, because you're just trying to hold it together. So why is the first thing I say that men and women need to do? Go get our head checked, right? What's the first thing I say men need to do after you get your head together? I say men need to be working 60 hours minimum a week where they're getting paid. I tell guys to go get a part-time job. Why? Because a part-time job, even at a convenience store, pays you about $14, $15 an hour. Additional 1,000 hours a year, that's an additional $14,000, $15,000. That additional money gives you options. The first week, you may be tired. Second week, you'll get 30 days into it, you'll get used to it. But 3 months after working a part-time job, you'll have something you never had before: savings, a cushion, I get emails weekly from guys saying, I picked up a part-time job and it's changed my life. Because now I have options. You got breathing room. The job that was stressing the guy out, he's not as stressed anymore because he's got money. And honestly, he cannot. I've seen people who left their dead-end jobs to go other places because they had a part-time job and some money to help facilitate something. They may have found another stuff. You need options. Options, options, options. Understand something. Time to grow up, guys. Time for boys to become men. Chase IPO. Chase influence. Chase power. Chase options. Put down the Peter Pan stuff. It's time to grow up. Put down the going out to the club Friday and Saturday and just getting hammered. Go out. Just don't get drunk. But also go to the Chamber of Commerce. Go to the Sunset Reception. Go to find not-for-profits or charities in your area. Find the art galleries. Start doing different things. Put you around different people to give you a different network to give you options. That's really what it comes down to, guys. And here's the thing. I have yet to meet a guy who was living below his possibility. Because when I start working with guys, generally the image is off, they're not feeling themselves, and we'll do a little talk, and I'll start getting them to like the guy they see in the mirror, spray on some fragrance or something, they'll start feeling like, oh, I like this. And they walk into life feeling better. Next thing you know, pick up a part-time job, get a little money. When within, I actually talked to a guy today. I'm not going to say his name. This guy's in medical school. This guy's in medical school in Europe. It's not O'Shea. It's not O'Shea. Not even a black guy. This guy's in medical school. I'm coaching him. He's watched my content for years. He reached out to me back in September of last year. Finally, out of the blue, decided to book life coaching. And the last time this guy had ever had a date or been with a woman was 2017. Well, guess what? After talking to him, challenging him, putting him on this path, told him to do this, that, inside of 2 weeks, I get the session today. He's like, I got something to report. He's like, remember you told me to just go out and talk to people and do this and that? Well, the girl I met last week, one of many of the women I met last week, completely different guy. We went out on a date. We went out on a date. The date was wonderful. And next thing you know, you told me that I never really escalated or did this. And one thing led to another. And we ended up back at her place and yeah. And I was like, you've been working with me less than a month and you sound like a completely different guy. And this is a guy who's in medical school, who's going to be a surgeon. And I said, that's been there all along. But here's what happens, especially for a lot of you guys who are very intelligent. You overcomplicate things and you just don't do the simple stuff. You don't go out and try to be influential. You don't go out and try to meet people. You don't try to go out and acquire power, the power of networks of friends. And you don't have any options. But then you actually just do some simple stuff. And next thing you know, it changes your outlook. I asked him to write me, I said, you know what, type that up. Because when I sit around and talk about do this stuff, it's easy for guys to say, yeah, that's easy for you, Kevin. You got the suit, you got the cologne, but it's not the same for me. I'm telling you, I work with guys on a daily basis, and I'm not a dating coach. I'm an image consultant and a life coach. But I'm telling you guys, the stuff works. Stop making life so hard. A man who does not think for himself does not think at all. I don't know about that. I guess. Well, how about this? Stop fearing being a grown up. Let's just say that. Let's talk. A lot of guys fear growing up. You fear accountability and responsibility. You fear being somebody can count on. Because for a lot of guys, you didn't have a dad growing up, and you didn't have a guy that you can count on, and you don't want to disappoint anybody like you were disappointed. That's why you need to go talk to somebody, get a coach to work through these things. Get a therapist if you need clinical counseling and work through those things, because the world needs men to step up. We can't afford to have 30 and 40-year-old teenagers. We need men. Shout out to Jordan Peterson. We need guys to step up, because the silent generation is all but gone. Baby boomers, they're passing each day. Gen X, we're next. Millennials, guys, it's time. Zennials and Gen Z, they're watching. It's time. It's time to, I'm gonna say it again. Put the Jordans down, put the teenage dress, put the teenage outfits down, the stuff that you should have stopped wearing at 21, 23 at the latest, and put on some grown doggone men clothes and do grown doggone men things. Real talk, you should feel real crazy 30 years old rolling up into a college party or into a college environment regularly. I'm not talking about a homecoming or something like that. You should be dressed age appropriate for each decade in your life, and each one should be better than the next. But see, the sad part is so many, especially guys like this, the best you ever see men get treated was when they were young, because they were in athletics, entertainment, rap, and sports. But life really starts kicking in for a man after 40. Yeah, life is better after 40 for a man on all levels. You should be running to get to that stuff, not resisting it. All right. How long have we been going? I don't want to go too long. Got a few more minutes. I'm going to answer a few questions in the chat room. Questions will be answered, obviously, in order. So let me go through all the super chats, make sure I got those answered. How many guys honestly feel like they are acting and living their age? If you feel like you are acting or living your own age or above, put a yes in the chat room. If you're below, put a no. If you're acting and living age appropriate.
This is a test donation for.
If you're acting and living age appropriate or above, put a yes. If you're really like, nah, man, I'm this age and I feel like I'm living and acting below. First thing you gotta do is be real with yourself and identify it. Okay. Furious Style says yes. John says no. Gabe, yes. John, yes. Excalibur, yes. Yes, yes. I'm not. Okay. No, it's not a process. Let me say this. Let me go ahead and nip this in the bud. This whole thing is just a process. Stop that. It's not a process. It's a decision. It's not a process. A process gives you, when I hear guys talk about it's a process, what I hear is giving yourself ways to make excuse. It's a decision. Jeffrey says, MY says no. A-Russ says no. Yes, yes, yes. Well, see, he says, here's an interesting one. Yes, Kev, do me, Kevin, I'm 30 and for the most part I act my age and living it. But sometimes young stuff sneak in the back door. Just look, understand something.
Should a
That's
man strive to have implicit or explicit influence / power?
that should happen. That's normal. Having boyish charm and humor, that should happen, but it should not be predictable. Um, and things like liking video games and comic books, and that's perfectly fine. But then you should also like grown man stuff too, like scotch and bourbon and cigars. You should start to evolve. You can like rap, but you should also progress to jazz. You got to progress. What was the question? My assistant read it out. Should a man strive to have implicit or explicit influence and power? Both. Both. If you're a patron of mine, you know it's not about either or. I don't do either or. It's always about and. It's not either implicit or explicit. It's both. It's always both. Well, not always. Whenever humanly possible, it's both. You want both, implicit and explicit. You want hard and soft. You want yin and yang. See, I don't accept the false choice of and or. It's both. Uh, Culture is encouraging a man child. That means it should be easier to win for you. Good. Then it should be easier to win for you. In some ways, yes, but career-wise, no. Well, that's a problem. So Vibe Rational says he feels like he's living and acting his age or above, but in his career, no, that's a problem. Because that's how the world keeps score. You're judged by your wallet, which is your accomplishments. So if you're behind in your career, cut out dating, cut out running the streets. Your focus should be to get your career on track. Because a man is his profession. We like to act like jobs don't mean anything, but men, what we do defines us. And if we're not good at what we do, we don't feel good about who we are. And no one can change that for us but us. See, I tell this story about when I was flipping burgers at McDonald's in the 80s. But when I came to work, my uniform was clean, that paper hat was on, and I did the best. I always had this desire to be excellent. And that carried over from schoolwork to the band, to dancing, breakdancing, to martial arts, to work. And everything I try to do, I try to be the best because just like I told the story of how I went from being a waiter at Papado to being outside a business to business salesperson making 5 times the amount of money I was making as an engineer. And it was all because I approached my job waiting tables at Papado on a Tuesday with a sense of excellence. I approached it like a man. There were a lot of guys in there my age and older who approached their job at Papado just as some money to trick off. They didn't take it the least bit serious. They were just like, whatever. They didn't care. They didn't care about the customers they were serving. They just was in there to get their money. I cared about my customers, my station. You couldn't even have your station around my station if it was not run right. The general manager knew to only put strong servers around me because if my station was going to be neat, tidy, orderly, and efficient. You cannot have busters around me because I'm going to run them off. I'm gonna be up in their station running their stuff, and I'm gonna want their tips. So by extension, I made other people better servers. And likewise, there was a crew of us that wherever we went, we were the head waiters. Wherever we went, that part of the restaurant ran smoother and everybody made more money. They knew if you worked with me and James and Cassie, you're gonna make more money because we're gonna turn more tables. We're gonna increase the PPA.
Man with married, rolling eyes face.
The kitchen, when you have a reputation for excellence, other people roll it that way. Put it this way, even the kitchen would respond when they saw your ticket. That's why I say influence. You choose how people treat you by how you carry yourself. Do you think you'd have been more successful if you approached your engineering job at the same level? I did approach so hold on. I did approach it. Why do you assume that I did not approach my engineering job at the same level? That is a mistaken assumption. And maybe you missed the fact that I had internships my entire college career, and I kept getting better ones because of how I handled the previous one. But I didn't hold on to something that I knew I did not like. See, the way you wrote that question is though I just quit. I performed, I was in the top 20%, top 20 percentile when I left. That's uncommon for engineers in the first 5 years. But I had the balls enough to sit back and say, I don't want to do this. See, a lot of men fear letting go. But you can't grab a hold of something else when you're holding on to this branch over here that's crumbling or burning. He says, I sound like the manager he worked for in the 90s. He was intense. Intense. Excellence is not in, how about passionate? See, that's the thing. What are you guys, you can't chase IPO if you have no passion. You can't chase influence if you don't have a passion. You can't chase power if you have no passion. And you can't have any options if you have no passion. So many guys today have no passion. And here's the thing. Nobody, it's not going to knock on your door and say, who's it passion? You got to get out there and crack some eggs. You got to get out there, make some mistakes. Get out there and turn over some, you got to get out there. Try different things to know what you like in order to find your purpose and what you're passionate at. Do you think alpha male strategies would be alpha male strategies if he had stayed in Birmingham and never left Birmingham to move to New York City, to live in that basement to try to become a trainer? See, you're looking at a guy who moved from Oklahoma to Atlanta and hadn't been here for 20 years. I'm willing to move and try and do. Kevin, in business, is it better to be loved or feared? It's always better to be loved. Fear leads to death. Fear is great in the short term, but it always ends up turning back on the wielder. You'd always rather be loved. Nobody takes a bullet for somebody they fear. I didn't like being an engineer, no. But see, the thing is, even when but let's say I have a job that I don't like, I still do it well. I put how I feel to the side because I have a standard. You see, it says a lot about a man who can go to a job or a situation and do it well when he doesn't like it. So what do you think my manager had to say when I left? My job was done excellent. I got letters of recommendation from a job I quit. This is an important point. Relationships end. Business relationship, customer relationships, personal relationships, but do your best. Even when somebody does something crazy to you. You better believe if you're in business, you cannot make everybody happy. But if you have a consistent standard, you don't have to respond to anything. Your standard speaks for itself. Take Apple. How many people, you can find just as many people who have an iPhone that don't have an iPhone. But Apple users are some of the most loyal customers in the world. That's because of their experience with Apple and the way they think about the brand. You guys have to look at yourself as a brand. Everywhere you go, you need to do the best you can do when you're there. When in a relationship, I don't leave women worse than I found them. A woman that I deal with is always going to be better off. Well, not always. Well, no, she was better too. Even my ex, better than I found her. Now, they don't have to agree. But if you can objectively say you increased somebody when you were with them, you didn't drag them down, even if you're with an ex and you were with her, did she lose any money, lose any status? Did she have a kid? Did you increase anything? Did you assist? Did she learn anything? Or did you take? Same with friendships, with people. That's what you need to chase with IPO. That's how you get influence, power, and options. All right. Now working on my own business, career, portfolio, building things for myself. Good. And remember that while you're doing that, you're still gonna have to work with other people. He said, you're right, Kevin. 2 weeks ago, I left a contract job, corporate auto sales, after they tried to muscle me on money, time, and opportunity. Yep. Look, for everybody, those people, if you want to own your own business, be in business for yourself, you're going to learn a lot more than you would as an employee because you're going to be in charge of everything. Kevin, do you think the world's view on maturity is the same as about due respect, Frank, I try not to get into religion. I don't really want to discuss religion or politics, but as far as on maturity, I mean, I think that far too many guys today are having arrested development. Whatever it is, guys, find something that motivates you. Passion helps you get through the dark times. And that's often what coaches help do too, because they'll help find and light that fire. You may have an ember, and coaches help you actually see stuff in working by yourself and not working with a coach or something like that hurts you, because you need people. Men need people outside themselves to see things in themselves that they can't see. That's why the last part of the women's CIA, why do you think inspirational is so important to women? Women often see things in men that they can't see themselves. When I work with a client, I often see things in them that they can't see themselves. They may have thought it was there, they may have wanted to believe there, but I stoke that fire, blow on that fire. Sometimes I push, and more often than not, they are really surprised that, wow, I didn't know that was there all along. All right, guys, that's an hour. We're at an hour. The stream is going to end right now. This will be up for a little bit, and after that, it will be over on Patreon. So I want to keep these streams as short as possible. Thank you guys for showing up on Monday. Remember, Chase IPO, influence, power, options. Peace.